Let's go Broncos! If you're even half as fanatical about this team as I am, you'll want to know every second of this. Behind the scenes, there's tension, urgency, and serious moves, and I'm talking the kind of moves that could completely change the course of our season. What I'm about to tell you isn't mere speculation. It comes from internal NFL sources, directly connected to the heart of the league, and involves trade rumors, locker room conversations, and a bold plan that could define our dream of reaching the Super Bowl. So, pay attention, because what's happening might surprise you. But before I reveal everything I've discovered, do me a favor, click the like button if you've ever yelled at the TV during a Broncos game. And if you're a truly die-hard fan, I want to see you in the comments right now with, "Go, Broncos! We're coming to the Super Bowl." Now buckle up, because what I'm about to share could turn this season upside down. Here's the deal. The Broncos are active. Very active. Multiple trusted sources, Diana Russini, Adam Schefter, Jeremy Fowler, and CBS Sports have confirmed the Broncos are not only taking calls but making them, especially when it comes to adding weapons on offense. And yes, tight ends are back on the radar, even after bringing in 41-year-old veteran Mercedes Lewis to the practice squad. That's not just a depth move. That's a sign Denver knows it's lacking juice in that part of the offense. Let's not ignore the obvious anymore. There's an accuracy problem with Bo Nix on deep throws, and simultaneously, a drop problem among the receivers. Courtland Sutton himself had 2 crucial drops against the Texans. These miscues are killing drives. The offense lacks rhythm, and despite occasional flashes, the chemistry between Bo Nix and tight end Evan Engram hasn't taken off. Whether it's due to injury, timing, or just lack of synergy, it's not working. And with Sean Payton clearly stating, "We would never make a trade to send a message to the team," it's obvious they're preparing to make a move not just for optics, but for impact. He also added that they'll act only if the value is right, which, if you read between the lines, suggests discussions are already happening, and the locker room knows it. The focus right now? Tight ends like David Njoku and Chigoziem Okonkwo are under the microscope. Of those, Njoku is the name heating up. He's being underutilized in Cleveland, where Harold Fannin has overtaken him as the top target at tight end. Njoku, despite that, still has plenty of athleticism and blocking ability, something Denver desperately needs with injuries up front. The offensive line is stretched thin without Ben Powers and relying on backups like Alex Palchevsky and Calvin Throckmorton. Bringing in Njoku not only gives Nix a security blanket in the middle of the field, it adds another blocker to protect the rookie. The ideal play? Flip that 4th rounder from the Saints, the one Denver got in the Devon Vele trade, and ship it for Njoku. Straight up, that move would immediately raise the ceiling of this offense. 2 tight end sets featuring Njoku and Engram could unlock a different dimension, allowing Denver to disguise plays better, improve run blocking, and finally stretch defenses both vertically and horizontally. Now if Cleveland shuts that door, there's another option, Rashid Shaheed. And this one is fascinating. The Saints are collapsing in the NFC South and may be looking to stockpile picks for 2026 and beyond. Shaheed is still performing, 44 receptions, 500 yards, 2 touchdowns, and averaging over 11 yards per catch. He's a true field stretcher, a burner, the kind of deep threat Denver hasn't had since the days of Emmanuel Sanders at his peak. And let's be honest, doesn't Rashid just look like a Bronco? Imagine him lined up opposite Sutton or Mims, pulling safeties deep and opening up the underneath for guys like Jerry Jeudy and the tight ends. So here's how this would play out beautifully. You flip that Saints pick back to New Orleans, basically trading Vele for Shaheed. That's a win. And if you're keeping score at home, Denver wins that trade every time. This gives Bo Nix another legitimate weapon and adds balance to an offense that's been leaning on flashes instead of firepower. Whether it's a tight end or a wide receiver, the Broncos need one more offensive playmaker to get over the hump. But that's not all. A small, yet crucial part of the trade plan includes moving on from Jaleel McLaughlin. As explosive as he's been in limited moments, he's simply not in the game plan. He's had 1 carry all season. That's not an oversight, that's a message. He's not among the top 3 backs in the rotation, and several teams could use a back with fresh legs like him. The Patriots, Texans, or even the Cardinals would make sense as destinations. Even if the return is modest, say a 7th-round pick swap, it helps Denver recoup some capital and make room for players who fit Sean Payton's evolving vision. Because if we're being real here, standing still might be the biggest mistake the Denver Broncos can make. The margin for error in the AFC this year is razor thin. We've seen flashes of brilliance from Bo Nix, but flashes aren't enough in January football. You need consistency, chemistry, and explosive potential. Adding someone like Njoku or Shaheed could transform this offense overnight. Let's talk about why that matters. Bo Nix is still a rookie. He's shown promise, sure, but he's not going to carry this team single-handedly. Sean Payton knows that what Bo needs is a system that supports his strengths while covering up the areas he's still developing, and right now, that system is incomplete. Ingram has been inconsistent, the receiver group has struggled with drops, and the offensive line is patched together. There's no world where that equation equals playoff success, much less a Super Bowl run, unless you give your young quarterback more help. And that's where a guy like Rashid Shaheed really becomes a game changer. He stretches the defense vertically, which not only opens up underneath routes for guys like Judy but also creates more running room for backs like Javonte Williams and Samaje Perine. That kind of field spacing is invaluable, especially when you consider that Denver hasn't had a true deep threat who can consistently beat corners off the line and burn safeties over the top. Shaheed gives you that, and given that New Orleans is in sell mode, the opportunity is sitting there, waiting. Let's not forget the optics either. Making a move, even a relatively small one, sends a message to the locker room that this front office believes in this group, that they're not just hoping for wins, they're investing in them. Sean Payton already hinted at that in his comments. We're not looking to send a message, he said, but what he really meant is that the only message they'll send is the kind that improves the roster, the kind that tells players, we're in this with you, and don't overlook the depth this provides. Bringing in a second tight end like Njoku adds insurance for Ingram and allows Payton to dip deeper into his playbook. Imagine the mismatch potential against slower linebackers or smaller safeties when you line up in two tight end sets. One athletic tight end like Njoku and another like Ingram who can flex into the slot or even outside. That's a nightmare for defensive coordinators. Suddenly, you're giving Bo Nix quick reads, safer options, and a clearer path to developing as a franchise quarterback. So what if the Broncos strike out on both Njoku and Shaheed? Do they just sit tight and hope for internal improvement? Absolutely not. This trade deadline isn't just about splashy names. It's about fit, it's about timing, and it's about getting the most out of the window that's open right now. Because let's be honest, windows in the NFL don't stay open for long. Injuries happen, contracts expire, chemistry fades. You strike while you can, and that's why even a move like trading Jaleel McLaughlin matters. It's not a blockbuster. It's not headline material, but it's a piece. It's clarity. It frees up a roster spot, adds some draft capital, and shows the front office is cleaning up the depth chart to focus on who can contribute now. McLaughlin's potential isn't in question, but if he's not getting touches, he's not helping. Send him to a team like Arizona or Houston that can actually use him, and let Denver sharpen its focus. Bottom line, this is the kind of week that can define a season. One trade, the right trade, could ignite this team. George Payton has a chance to push all his chips in and say, we believe, not just in the roster, not just in Bo Nix, but in the goal, bringing the Lombardi Trophy back to Denver. So Broncos country, what's the move? Do you go all in on David Njoku to solidify the tight end room? Or do you send that fourth rounder back to the Saints and bring home Rashid Shaheed to unlock this offense? Comment down below and let us know what you think should happen. Would you rather add a weapon or stay put and ride with the current roster? Hit that like button if you're fired up about what's coming next. And if you haven't yet, subscribe for more updates just like this. Video's ending, but don't go far. Click on the next one on your screen. We've got more Broncos news breaking every day. Let's ride!